All right, so this video is about right hand or bow arm technique specifically. And I'm making it because I started several new cellists, beginning cellists this year remotely. And I think out of all the aspects of remote teaching, demonstrating bow arm mechanics and effectively communicating that setup has been the most challenging. So I'll share some new stuff I figured out last night and this morning, and then some other tips that I've learned along the way from many other teachers. And I wish I could give more credit where credit is due, but I can't remember who gave me these great nuggets, all of these great little nuggets. But I do remember Lorian Loftman, for sure, my college cello professor, as having the most beautiful and just phenomenal an artistic bow arm technique of any cellist I've ever seen. So I put in the comments, unfortunately there's not that much material on YouTube of her playing, but I found one video. Just watch the first 10 seconds and see how her bow is moving. I think you'll get an idea of what I'm talking about. All right, and also I should mention that the rest of this video is also a little bit of a tribute to the Wire character Lester Freeman. I did one of those Facebook personality quizzes, and he came up pretty high. And so, yeah, that's what that's about. All right, so I was thinking, I was having a lesson with my student yesterday, and I found myself using the phrase bow angle. And then I remembered back to when I was a beginning cellist myself, and just had this memory of teachers saying, bow angle, watch your bow angle. And then I just was thinking to myself yesterday, and I realized I don't really know exactly. I may have like a vague sense of what the bow angle is that I'm talking about, but I don't know exactly. It's something to do with the string and the bow. So I decided to kind of clarify it and go under the hood. And I asked my wife. She's not a geometer by trade, but she is a scientist. And when I start using words like plane and diameter and perpendicular, I usually get her advice to make sure I kind of don't go off the rails. So she came into the music room, the cello room even, pretty adventurous of her, and watched me demonstrate some things. And then I got some graph paper, a compass, set to work this morning. And I had the help, I should also mention, of a superhero who you may have noticed off over here. He has many forms. Today he's taking the form of Angleman. Angleman. Very good theme song. So Angleman, I'm just going to get rid of this here for a second. Angleman is going to show us that there are actually two very important angles involved in cello bow mechanics. So the first angle is a 90-degree angle. And I'm going to use this cardboard disc here. And the disc is basically a plane that you can think of as being parallel to the top of the instrument, basically. Looks like a giant pizza. And the 90-degree angle we're looking for here with the bow is between the angle of the bow's path on whatever string it's playing on and the fingerboard or the string, specifically the string that it's playing on. So that's this 90-degree angle here, the square. So we need to make sure that's happening. Now I'm going to show you that on the actual cello by Angleman. Now, a lot of these angles I would first demonstrate using a dowel. The dowel is great because it's lightweight. It can be maneuvered easily without distorting the bow hold here. So I'm actually going to set the dowel in my left hand at the tip. And then I'm going to take my normal bow hand and I'm going to move it along the path that it would take if this angle were correct. And it does look like it's correct between the string that I'm bowing on, the D string, and the bow itself, or the dowel itself. So I have this 90-degree angle along this plane, parallel to the top of the instrument that Engelmann just demonstrated for us. Another nice thing about doing this exercise is it allows the arm, the shoulder, elbow, and wrist joints and finger joints to learn the kind of path and motion that they need to do to maintain this angle when really bowing from the frog out to the tip. And I should mention a useful way to practice is on camera. I remember back in the day, in the early 90s, we had to do this in front of a mirror, a full-length mirror. And the full-length mirror, you know, was usually like in a closet somewhere. So it was like a very awkward practice session, very dark practice session. All right, so that's that. And then there's a real bow exercise for maintaining that angle as well. So if I'm following that 90-degree angle along the D string, the bow, if I pull a down bow from frog to tip, the bow hair should remain in one consistent spot on the D string. If the angle becomes too small, I forget what the geometer word for that is right now, acute or obtuse, I forget which one. The tip of the bow will slide down the string. If the angle becomes too large, obtuse, acute, I forget, large this way, too big, bigger than 90 degrees, the tip of the bow will rise up. And that creates, both of those issues create kind of like a weird wispy sound, not terrible, but maybe not what we want. And what we want is a more powerful and consistent sound, for the most part, on cello. So that's that. Let's now go to, I should mention, so practicing with that angle, so I like to call this controlling the error. So once you figure out how to make the bow fall, you can try to control the error and figure out how to make it fall a little bit less. Then maybe make it rise a little bit less. And then make it rise just a tiny bit. And then try to make it stay in one place. So you're basically taking control of the problem of the bow moving around and experimenting and practicing with the control of that. All right, let's go back to Engelmann to talk about angle number 2, the other important angle that the bow, that we need to pay attention to with the bow. So I'm going to get rid of this disc and bring my next disc, which I made this morning. So this disc is a plane that's perpendicular to the first plane that I showed you. Engelmann's going to show you this one now. And it kind of is like a giant theatrical, it's as if the cello was wearing, I don't know if this is the right word, like a hoop dress, some kind of 19th century thing. I don't know if that's, yeah. Anyway, how can I show this to you? Let's do this. So now we're looking down from the top. So this is actually sort of what you would be looking at yourself as the cellist, and you have your bow set on the string. And let's say you have it set on the, looks like the G here. So the other bow angle is created when you move your bow arm, your right arm, forwards, which brings you to the D string, even further forwards, way out there forwards, to the A string. And then if you come the other direction towards you, pulling in down towards your knee to the C string down there, which you can kind of see. Now that range of motion is a pretty big angle, bigger than many beginners think it's going to be. It's like, I would say 60 degrees. It's indicated by those arrows right there between the C string all the way up and the A string. I can't really move this guy. You know, Engelmann's made of iron, so he doesn't move the bow that easily. All right, so let's talk about how that works on the actual cello now. Bye-bye, Engelmann. Okay, so on the actual cello, and now I'm going to demonstrate with the real bow, not the dowel. And I'm going to demonstrate this one right at the middle of the bow. I'm on the D, and now I can raise my hand up to be on the A string, go back down to the D, bringing my arm down, lower to the G string, and now way down here to the C. So keep in mind, this angle that my hand has to, this path, it's a pretty big angle, so it has to go pretty far between where it is on the A string out here, where it is on the C string. So in practicing how to get familiar with this plane and the angles along this plane, sort of a similar thing, controlling the error. So starting on the D, the way I would approach it is, we want to know, look, it actually looks like we have some wiggle room on the D. We can move the bow a little bit up and down and not hit the neighbor strings. We can avoid hitting A, and we can avoid hitting G. Ooh, but how close can we go? So I'll bow on the D and get closer and closer to the A string until I'm touching the A and then come off. Not bad. Then I'll try the same thing on D. D by itself, get real close, touch, back to just D. So now I'm familiar with the little bit of wiggle room, that small 5 degrees or so of play that the bow has on the D string, and I can do the same thing on G, and the same thing on the C string, and even on the A string too if I want. All right, so hopefully that was helpful, and you can understand and think about bow angles a little better. There's 2 angles, both important to think about, both involving the bow. Thanks, Angle Man. Let's put you back, go back home. He's never far. Angle Man is there when you need him. All right, till next time. Over and out.